So, first question. What made you interested in participating in Project Set?
I don't have to go in order, right? Whoever wants to speak up.
Well, one, I was really excited because they mentioned getting practice for instruction, and I really love instruction. And before our project set, I had done some of it and I liked it, but I wanted to get more skills and feel more capable and competent when it came to doing more instruction and presentations. I also was really excited to get out of my library. I work in a very high traffic, high need urban library in a neighborhood that has a lot of challenges. So it can be very stressful because it's constantly meeting technology needs and emotional needs and mental health needs of a lot of my patrons. So a big part of it also was getting out of the library, meeting other librarians, and having a chance to sort of decompress a little bit and recharge my batteries and grow professionally as well.
I think for me, I kind of always take up those learning opportunities whenever a workshop is posted. I'm like, can I do that one? Yeah, so in Project Set, when I saw the description come out, it kind of seemed like that turned up to 11. So I was really excited, and it seemed like I have all these ideas floating around, right? And I have all this desk time that happens, and actual job stuff gets in the way. And it seemed like this was going to be a way to just really harness one of those ideas and run with it for a whole year and see what I could get out of it. And so that's why this really intrigued me.
That was really very similar for me. I'm responsible for training and education, but I also am a lifelong learner. I love being a student, and I'm always the one perusing the workshop listings and looking for opportunities. And when I read about it and who I'd be working with, I just felt like it would be a great opportunity to work with folks at MLS in the office there that I know in various capacities, but to work with them as a group and to learn from them. I just thought that was just a great opportunity. Personal career advancement, of course, but just a chance to get some different guidance, some different encouragement, and I loved the idea of it being year-long. I really liked that idea. I liked the idea that it was not just going to be about what we learned and worked on, but that we would, it seemed obvious to me that we would, there would be some group, bonding and just a chance to really work with some new people. And I like the idea of the longevity of the project.
Thank you. So what were your goals? Did they change? And were they achieved? Who wants to start?
I think my goals started out much more vague than they ended up. And that, we had a whole year to think about this stuff. So of course it changed. One of my biggest goals was I want to present. I wanted to be, I liked that scary idea of presenting before MLS at the end of the whole thing. So that was a goal. I was going to do that and it was going to be good. And then other than that, I kind of just had this vague idea that something good for my library would come out of it. And when we get into talking about the project, I'll talk about how that changed, but that definitely narrowed down to a specific thing I was going to take back to my library. So for those two goals, definitely, I think I achieved them. So, yeah.
I think I went into it with the goal of I'm going to learn exciting new things to take back and do for my library. But I ended up being able to take back a lot of things to do for myself. It was the impetus behind me developing a conference proposal for the Urban Librarians Unite conference, which is the first conference I presented at, and I did that last April when I was in the middle of Project Set. And it also, I think I had a lot of goals that were outward facing when I started, that I was going to get things and I was going to be able to give them to other people at my library and as a service thing. But by the end of it, I think I got those ideas and I was able to to help other people, but I was also really able to give myself really good advice and take that advice and turn that into things that I wanted to talk to other librarians about.
Okay, top that one. Being a very linear person, I had a list of goals. And I was sure that all of these things were going to be addressed, all of these topics that I personally thought, this is what it's going to be about. So I have a few, obviously my presentation and public speaking skills. I thought surely we're going to talk about a little bit about social media, which ended up being the very first thing, and it was very overwhelming. I thought sure that we would talk about how to better promote our underutilized databases. So I had very specific goals, which clearly wasn't what this was about, and I'm very glad it wasn't about that, because for me, my goals sort of morphed as the year unfolded. I think I ultimately reached my goals because of the activities we did, the projects we had to work on, the assignments we had, ultimately did touch on all of my goals. But it was really a bigger picture than that. It was really, for me, the goal of just moving forward in this fabulous state community. We have this library community, and confirming, my continued desire to present and be in conferences and be a leader in the field as best I can. So all of my little goals combined, I kind of morphed and changed along the way, but the program certainly helped in that.
All right, this one is a big question.
Yeah.
Describe the evolution and final result of your project. Who wants to go first?
You want to do rock, paper, scissors?
I'll go. All right. So we knew going in that we were going to have this project, and that at the end of it, we were going to present about it at MLS. And we were kind of told it could be, it could be quite theoretical. It could be, you're doing a lot of different kinds of research and seeing what's being done around the country about whatever this topic is. Or you could do it very hands-on and have it be something ongoing at your library. And at first, I thought I was going to go pretty researchy on it. And I looked back at some emails that I sent to April Mazza about a month in, and I'm panicking because I'm like, I don't actually have time to do that. What am I thinking? Oh my gosh. So my idea changed from, initially I was thinking something about talking about how to market unconventional and non-traditional collections, because we were starting to pick up some interesting things at Norwood, like knitting needle collection and stuff like that. But I realized that I was not feeling the spark. I wasn't feeling the passion, and it wasn't going to drive a whole year for me. So after some emails and some phone calls, and by the way, thanks for being so responsive, Project Set crew. That was great. It brought it back to me, to my library, and what thing can I give to my library by the end of this? What can I develop out of it? So with that thought in mind, it became, how can I improve services in some way for the 20 and 30 something population in my town? Because I looked at population statistics, and between 20 and 30 something was 15%, or no, it was 20% of the population in Norwood, and 18 to 40 was a solid third of the population. So how can we serve them a little better? That winnowed down eventually to programming specifically for 20 and 30 somethings, and I had decided by that point I was going to do an Ignite session. So a 5-minute lightning, here is just the facts, ma'am, about programming in Norwood. And out of it, by the end of set, I had started a couple of new program series with others planned, which I have since implemented, and with mixed results. You don't always get the target audience you think you're going to get, but you get people, which is great. Was that the whole question?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I had a lot of ideas, and I have some unique challenges in my library and in my system with both the population I serve and also the people that I work with. A lot of people that I work with are very passionate about what they do, but they're not that passionate about collaboration. And so initially I had a certain number of topics that I thought that I was interested in based around things that I was doing in my library. And what I really realized as the year went on is that the thing that I care most about is building connections and figuring out how people can talk to each other. And when people can't talk to each other, how you can find other people to talk to accomplish the goals that you want to accomplish professionally, in your library, in your system, and sort of what to do when you're feeling stuck or discouraged. And so all of the setbacks that I had with my ideas and putting them forward really inspired me to take my topic away from those ideas that maybe hadn't gone in the direction I wanted to and brought them more towards how can I suggest ways for management to support the people who work for them, and how can I support the people who are working in libraries that want to do good things and don't necessarily know where to start or can't get traction with where they are. So I guess it just evolved sort of in the reverse way of my goals. My goals started out as how can I help my library, and then I ended up being able to sort of help myself with the advice that I came up with, and then my project went from something that I was doing in my library to some way that I could help not only support my own professional development and professional goals, but then also to figure out how I could support other people in doing that.
So my project took a while to develop because I'm going to name Kirsten Underwood, who's here. She was my compadre there because I was so glad to see her. We were hit initially with social media, okay, and I was totally overwhelmed. I really did not expect this, and I was so overwhelmed with the idea that I had to have a Twitter account, and I thought anyway, and I had to tweet, and I had to have a Facebook account, and I had to, what are some other ones? I mean, just Pinterest, and I was so overwhelmed that this is what was expected of me, and it was so outside of what I thought that this was all about. That for the first month, perhaps, I just was frozen in my tracks. And thank goodness Kirsten was there, because the two of us were reminding each other, we can do this, you know, we can do this, we can figure this out. But that really, I have to say, that threw a curveball. And so it kind of affected my ability to come up with a project, because it seemed like my project was figuring out social media, which was really not what I was going to talk about at the annual meeting. So from there, I, somewhat like Liz, being a researcher at heart, thought I'm going to just dive into my topic, which, in case it's a secret, is staff training and education. It's no secret. So I thought I'm going to really dive in research and check out every state's CEU requirements and every state's potential training. So now I have all of these articles, and I don't know what to do with them. So now I start a DGO account, which is a place to bookmark articles, and then I kind of got buried in that. And again, is this accurate? Totally buried in this. I read some fabulous articles, and I'm thrilled I found them, but still I wasn't really working on my project yet. And so at that point I thought, you know what, I think I gotta really just start all over again. So I started entertaining some project ideas, and I have to say thanks to Kelly here. She said, no, go back to your original idea. It's good, and just go with it. You know, forget the stress of social media and all of the other things. And so I did go back to, okay, what is this all about? What is the purpose of the project? And our overriding theme for us this year at Project Set, I don't know if you'll do the next one, but was outreach. So most of the projects, I'm listening to the development of these projects, and there's programming outreach, and there's all these fabulous outreach ideas, and I'm thinking, I don't get how staff training has anything to do with outreach. And then I had to really think about that. So it forced me to really think about the purpose and the point of my project and why I was so determined that this be my topic. And I concluded that in order to have all of these fabulous programs at any library, mine, anybody's library, to have effective outreach, we have to have very well-trained staff, capable staff who's very connected to their community and their patrons. So in the end, I was able to grasp that, okay, this topic really does fit in with the overriding topic of outreach. And I worked a lot with, Kelly was really helpful and just kind of guiding me and encouraging me. And so in the end, I did put together, and what you saw this morning, if you happened to be there, was a big part of it. But it was the process of coming up with a project to then bring to the annual meeting was a little overwhelming, I think, for all of us, just the idea of it. Oh my gosh, But in the end, I'm very proud of what everybody in the group did.
You did a really good job.
I just think, and we couldn't have done it without your guidance, but I think in the end, all of the projects had really great merit and.
I don't think
brought
it was
forward.
the presenting that was overwhelming to me. It was the figuring out how I was going to fit that into all the things that I'm already doing at my library. So, going away to set, like I had time to think and plan and
Right.
come up with ideas. And if you ever come to my branch, you will understand why I don't have time to do those things while I'm there. So it was really valuable.
All right. So we intended Project Set to be a learning community. Can you tell us what did you learn from the other participants?
That most libraries have a lot of things in common, especially just I think the tug between doing the things that your branch needs and then also doing the things that you want to do as projects that you're passionate about, and also balancing that with your professional development. And I think that all of us had some overlapping experiences, overlapping challenges, whether or not we're in a really huge system or in a really tiny one.
Anyone else?
One of the things that I learned is, it doesn't matter the size of our library that we work at. It doesn't matter, where we came from or where we're headed. It just became very quickly very obvious that we all are passionate about what we do. I don't feel like anyone that I worked with, it's a job. I mean, we love what we do. We all face challenges, whether they're budgetary challenges, buy-in or pushback, whatever it is. We all face those same challenges, and we all are able to push past those challenges to do the things we know are good for our patrons and our communities. It was one of the things I left with. Doesn't matter the specifics.
Yeah, and I liked that we were from all over the state and all different sizes and kinds of libraries serving different populations, because I think, you kind of get to know the people in your region, and y'all kind of know some of the stuff going on at your libraries. So you're kind of bouncing the same ideas off the same people. So when we were all getting together, someone was, I can't think of an example, but one of us would bring something like, oh man, this is such a thing at our library. And somebody else would say, oh, you know what we do for that? We do that. And I was like, that's a great idea. Just getting a whole new pool of ideas together in the same place was really valuable. Yeah.
I think so.
How did your participation in Project Set impact your career and your role in the library?
I presented yesterday.
Yay!
I'm presenting tomorrow.
I presented this morning. I
Is
think it's
the
fair
big
to say it was a
message.
success.
Yeah.
Your intended goal, I think you met.
Yeah.
I think you as a crew met the goal of.
And I definitely bug my branch manager a lot for more training opportunities. So, I mean, I'm not shrinking violet, but it was definitely a good nudge for me to push for professional development opportunities and network opportunities and just ways to grow and network with other librarians, get in some new ideas, and keep pushing myself forward, not standing still.
Yeah. Let's see, how did it impact my career? I think one of the things, in terms of an impact on my library, I think my participation in this, among other things, but I would say this was a big part of it, really opened the eyes of our Board of Trustees to what it is we do. You know, it's one thing to go do a workshop once in a while, but, and I have a very supportive director. Obviously, none of us could participate if we don't have the backing and support of our directors. So if all of you directors out there, I encourage you to support your staff to do things like this. So I had the support of my director, but we brought it to the Board of Trustees to let them know what I was going to be involved in, and it was just another opportunity to show them what I do, but really what we do, and so it opened their eyes to what we do more. Since starting Project Set, I was promoted to my current position. Was it because of this? I can't say it was, but I'd like to think it factored in. It just, like you said, it's moving us forward in our careers and our profession, and just building us, building a stronger foundation for what I do. So I had a positive effect on my career. It just convinces me to keep on going.
All right. So what surprised you about yourself?
That's a tricky one. Do either of you have an answer right now?
Not all at once.
I've been struggling thinking about this one since you sent the questions around. I think it surprised me that I could present without having like nervous breakdown. I think probably one of the most valuable pieces of SET was having to give a presentation in front of a professional presentation coach and get that feedback. Like, she was very kind, but she gave us very honest feedback about things we can do to improve. And, I just found that I need to rehearse the heck out of something. If I'm, this is a little more informal, so I'm happy about that. But, giving a presentation, I learned some great skills and tips that I'm gonna take with me forever. Yeah.
I would have to agree with that. That is one of the things I actually jotted down. Was I found that critiquing portion where we did, I don't remember the gal's name that came in, but they brought in a professional speech coach. It was very intimidating. We not only presented in front of her, but we were recorded.
I still haven't watched
and they were posted, so then we had to watch ourselves. And that was, I found it both difficult and also very helpful and enlightening. And to receive positive feedback. There were critiques, obviously, but in a very positive way. And some of them were such tiny little tips. Others of them were rather large tips. But I found that, I was surprised at how okay I was with receiving constructive criticism. I don't think that's an easy thing to do, to receive constructive criticism and to go in knowing, a lot of times when we get constructive criticism, it's kind of an aside, it just happens. But we knew walking in that door that that's what was going to happen. And I was surprised by how okay I was with that.
She told me I was gloomy.
Aww.
But it was actually kind of useful for me. I tend to speak very realistically about issues and challenges that not only I face, but that other new librarians face, that other librarians in high traffic, high volume, high intensity branches face. So, it was a reminder for me to take what I'm saying and put a little sparkling rainbow of happiness atop it. Not to sugarcoat it, because that's not how I speak authentically, but to be mindful of how I take that trajectory of the advice that I'm trying to give and make sure that it's not just a disheartening reality of what you may encounter, but that it is effective advice that you can move yourself forward, even if you are facing, really complicated workplace politics, for example. So, did I like when she told me that I was a bit gloomy? No, I did not like that feedback. But it was useful to me, and it definitely has informed my public speaking since then. I don't think that was surprising for me to hear that feedback.
We recovered from that, though.
But I think Amanda and Christy were really there for me in that moment. So it turned out okay.
Turned out great. All right, so what would you want to change about Project Set? And you can be totally honest.
I have a list.
You know that letter of supervisor support where they say we're going to totally give them the time that they need to participate in this program?
Mm-hmm.
I would like that to be a binding contract.
Right.
There you go.
And it can be a challenge when your branch is understaffed or there are position changes or one person moves on or somebody is out long time.
Remind them.
But, leading up to my presentation at the MLS annual meeting, it was really challenging for me to get the off-desk time that I really wanted to feel fully prepared. I think I was still able to present effectively.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was still able to convey my message, and at the end of my talk, I was invited to come speak at MLA.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I did something right.
Mm-hmm.
But the promise of support and the deliverance of support sometimes have a disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
So, not like you needed to come in and like rough up my managers.
Well, I have to.
But, maybe if you tossed a stress ball through the window and said, hey.
If you have a list, go for it.
One of my suggestions, no, one of
I
my
was throwing one.
suggestions would be, on the days that we meet in person, that it not be a half a day.
Mm-hmm. We are doing that.
Right. For me, driving from the Cape, I'm sure I wasn't the only one with a long drive, but I just felt like you make that long drive, you're anticipating spending time with these people who I think we really bonded well, and before you knew it, it was time to leave, and it was kind of a letdown.
Mm-hmm.
Combined with that, I personally would like to see less Skype time, less, and I think that would happen if you extended the days. You wouldn't need as many times Skyping or webinar type.
Mm-hmm.
I just personally felt like the time together was much more profitable and worthwhile than my time spent when we had remote meetings or, I think the assignments were great, but spending the time together, I found the most valuable.
in-person part of it was
in-person,
just...
and I think that was the most important.
And mine is related to that timing. I really liked the idea of a year-long program when I went into it, but halfway through that, I really wanted it to be a 6-month program, which I think you guys have done.
Yeah,
So,
Are you doing that?
Yeah, 6 months.
Oh,
so I think that's gonna be an improvement. And and I also think the working on the project, it kind of just the timing of when things were due coincided with workshop sections, especially Kelly's sections, that I really wanted to give full mental attention to and just could not because something else was due that day. Mm-hmm. And so I think just the spacing out of when major bits happen
could
maybe
be tweaked a little bit.
Also,
can be shuffled.
Yeah.
Also Moodle.
Moodle. Yeah, we got rid of Moodle.
Oh, you're not using it at all?
I think that it's really valuable to learn about content management systems, but I also hated it.
Yeah, we do too. Yeah, but Kelly can maybe go over some of that at the end or when we do questions later. All the changes. She's going to talk about all the changes that we've put into effect as a result of really you guys' feedback and what we witnessed throughout the year with you. But moving on, last question. What else do you want the audience to know about Project Set? Or yourselves?
One of you has something, you can go for it.
I think that I would want you guys to know that I think I can kind of speak for all of us. I think we're really excited to be part of the pilot program, and I think that we have all taken something really important away from it. We're not best pen pal buddies, but I think we're connected in a way professionally that we wouldn't have been. I am not from this state. I came into Project Set after being a librarian for 6 months. So this was a whole new way for me to meet people throughout the state. It was a way for me to get familiar with many of our lovely roads and highways.
In snow?
In snow, in blistering heat, in all sorts of weather. It was really good for me to have people in the program who were not just young, brand new baby professionals, but people who had established careers and people who had more familiarity with, just library work and the state. So Karen and Kirsten have been in the library system, in a longer period of time. I'm coming up on 2 years as my official first librarian job. And so having a really nice mix of ages, we had 2 guys in the group, so that's very exciting. It wasn't just 6 white ladies sitting in a room talking about books. We talked about so many facets of the profession. We had a number of different perspectives. We had a number of different types of libraries, a number of different types of professionals. And I think that, what's that word that's really popular now? Our silos. It got us out of our silos, right? Yeah, it forced us to say, okay, well, I am a librarian in an urban environment. I'm a librarian in a suburban environment. I'm a librarian, down the coast. I'm a librarian in an academic library. Those distinctions weren't as important, but we got different perspective from other people. And I think it's helpful. It is helpful for, the librarians in your library to get out of their library and to see other libraries, to see other perspectives, to get a chance to meet other librarians. And, you get to do that at a conference, but you get to do a lot more in-depth when you're part of a cohort that's working together towards a shared goal of a presentation or acquiring a skill together or practicing something together.
Yeah, I would just bring it back to the idea of it being a learning community. I think that in our different consortia, we have some different groups, interest groups and things like that people get involved with, and that's really cool. But, I became a librarian after Massachusetts Regions went away. I've never known what that sort of environment was. So, Project Set was a way to break down walls and feel connected as a state, which is something we don't always, we're getting it here at MLA, but it's not something we normally get on a day-to-day basis. And also I think it just familiarized us with all of you and what MLS does for the state. Yeah.
What I would want the audience to know is it's worthwhile for the person who's a part of it. My time spent was definitely worthwhile. And I would encourage those of you who are in a position to say yes to one of your staff or to yourself. Yes, this is a worthwhile thing. I encourage you to apply. I support your participation, or to your own self. I think it's very valuable, and I don't think you would regret it if you participated or you encouraged a staff person to participate.
Plus all of the MLS people who were, running this were just incredibly empathetic, supportive people. And it's nice to have people who are running something who aren't your direct supervisor, people who have perspective and experience and you know, they genuinely were invested and cared about this project. It wasn't like a, oh, hey, we have to do this thing because the state says we have to do this thing. It was, we're passionate about this idea and we actively care about the people who are participating in it.
That's a really good place to end. So I'm going to turn it back over to Kelly, who's going to sort of talk about how we assessed the project and the changes that we've implemented for 2016.
Okay. Before I get started on that,